In the last video, this is where we left off. We had the enemies moving back and forward. After 4 times, they drop down by some. In this video, we're going to work at getting our ship and being able to control it. So here I've got the ship.lure, ship class, and the control.lure, the control class open. Okay, we can, as I've said before, we can basically copy and paste a lot of this. So I'm going to copy all of enemy.lure. I'm going to paste it in after there into my ship.lure. I'm going to keep the init. I don't need the enter frame for now, which I might, so I'll just delete that for now. No, I don't need the enter frame actually. Collisions. I might need a collisions later on. Enemy.start. We'll leave that there for now. No, we'll delete it. We can copy it in later if we need it. We definitely don't need the hit walls part. Alright, so there we've got the new. We've got an init. We've got a start. Okay, we're going to do a find, search, and replace. I'm going to search for the term enemies, and I'm going to replace that with the word ship, and replace it all. Okay, so if I look at my code, now I've got a new array called ship. There's a ship meta table, ship new. Cool. So what do we want to do within this ship class? My ship is not going to be an image I import, so I can get rid of. Actually, we'll just get rid of all of this and start from scratch. It will be dynamic body. Okay, I'm going to build it up just because it's got to look cheap. That's what Space Invaders is. It's a cheap looking game. So I'm going to build it up using rectangles. So I'm going to create a new group called spaceship, which is going to contain our spaceship. I'm going to create a rectangle, and I'm going to put it into this group and set the full color to green. Alright, so here I've got a new rectangle. This here just inserts it into this group. To start with, it's going to be 30 pixels across the screen and 0 pixels down, location wise, and it's going to be rectangle 4 pixels across by 15 down. That's the turret. I'm setting the full color to green, and I'm going to reference it, center reference point. You possibly don't need that line, to be honest. Then I'm going to insert the base of the spaceship. Alright, so here I'm creating a new rectangle. I'm putting it into this group. This is going to be 0 across, 10 down, and it's going to be the square rectangle itself will be 60 across by 20. And the last thing I want to do is, because these have all been inserted into this group here, to change the location, I only need to change the location of the spaceship group itself. So initially I'm going to give it the location, so it's going to be halfway down the screen widthwise, and it's going to be 120 up from the bottom. So it's there, and it's a physics body because we want to detect collisions later on. I save that, and I reload this. Nothing's going to happen. We can't see it because I haven't done anything with my storyboard. So over here, I need to add my storyboard. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is require the class itself. Where do we do that? Just no way you do it really. So I'll require the classes. Remember, it's in the subdirectory. A dot means subdirectory, so it's in the classes subdirectory, a file called ship.lua. So that's required it. I now need to, I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to initialize it and I'm going to start it. I'm only doing one, creating one. So I've been a bit lazy here. Yeah, it's probably not the best programming. I should go local my ship equals ship new. I'll replace that with that and that. Save that. Reload it. There you go. You've got my ship. So looking back at the code again, just to be clear. This first rectangle here is what I've called the turret, and the second rectangle here is the base of it. So if you want to have it a longer turret, you can change this line, etc., etc. That's it for now for there. Now I'm going to shoot over to the controls and add some control to it. Yet again, I'm going to copy all of this code. I'm going to dump it in here. Okay. And I'm going to go through and get rid of the things I don't need. We won't do anything inside the init for start. That's about it. I'll do a find, replace. Let's find the word ship, and replace that with controls. Replace all 9 changes, 12 changes this time. Alright, so I can get rid of that there. Okay, so we define a new array, meta table. We're initializing the class here, the constructor, constructing the class. And then we've got our initialization. What do we need to do within our initialization? Well, we need to put the buttons on the screen. So there are 3 buttons we're worried about. A right arrow. So here, self.right arrow equals the image. There's one in the assets directory already. Reference point is the center of it, and I'm placing it at 50 away from the right and 40 away from the bottom. So if I save that now, nothing will happen because I haven't called it from my main here. So we'll do that now. I just need to copy that. Okay, so we've got our controls, require classes, local ship controls equal. Alright, so let's save that and reload it. Got a button. There's nothing right now because I haven't given any event listeners, but we've got a button. Alright, what else do we need there? We need a left wall, I guess. Left button, sorry. So I'm going to basically copy this code, paste it in underneath. I'll go through and change this to left arrow. Copy, paste, paste, paste. Where do we want to put it in? Well, we don't want it on top of the other one, so I'll make it 130. It's going to be the same Y value. If I save that, run that, got 2. It's no good where it is there like that. So we want to rotate it. So we type in self dot left arrow. Call the method rotate. How much are we going to rotate it by? 180. Okay, run that. We get left and right arrow. Almost there. Now we need to do a fire button. The fire button is just going to be a circle. There is a command that's called new circle, same as we've got one called new rect. So this is the X, the Y coordinates. So it's going to be X in from the edge. It's going to be 40 up from the bottom, same as that one. And it's going to have a radius of 30. We need to set the full color of it and give it an outline and set the outline color, which is called the stroke. So new circle, setting the inside color, setting the outline of the, which is called the stroke, to a width of 5, and setting the outline color to white. Alright, so we got a left, right, and we've got a fire button. Cool. Now we need to do something when we touch buttons. So we're going to need to put in, we'll do the right arrow first, since I did that, down in the start, because that's where we put all our listeners and stuff. We want to listen for someone touching the right arrow. If they touch the right arrow, we're going to add an event listener, a touch event listener, could be a tap event listener, doesn't matter. I know we want touch, actually. You'll see why in a sec. Actually, I'll do tap first, and it's going to call a function called right touch. So if I did a tap listener, we need to make a new local function for that. I'm just going to put it up above that. Controls are not going to have a collision. You don't collide with controls. Alright. And what's going to happen when someone taps on it? We're going to dispatch a custom event. Alright, so the button's going to shout out, "Hey, I've been touched." It's going to attach that to the scene, which is created over here in the local. They can be a local scene, doesn't matter. Alright, so it's going to attach and it's going to dispatch an event attached to the scene, and inside that it's going to be the event that's dispatched is going to be called button touched, and it's going to have a special property called ID that's right button touched. Alright, so I run that now. Oh, we've got an error. Why do we have an error? Enemy 51. Oh, was that because I made that local? It was. Alright. Anyway, when I click on that, nothing happens. Why is that? Because nobody's listening. Who do I need to listen? These guys don't care what's going on. The fire button doesn't care, but the ship does. So in the ship, over here in the start, we're going to have to put in an event listener, which is going to be listening to the scene, because that's where I shouted it into. Add event listener. What's it going to be listening for? It's going to be listening for the name of the event, which was called button touched. Yep, and we're going to self, same as we did before. Okay, so now we need to make a new function called button touched. Button touched, and what's going to happen? Alright, so we need to check what the ID is. So what was it? It was right button touched. So if the right button is touched, that's what we're reading the ID there, which is the ID from here. If the right button is touched, then we want to move the ship over by 4. So I could just say space ship.x equals, and I'll copy and paste it in, plus 4. Save that, reload that. Oh, we got another error. There's no end at the end of my if statement. End. Alright, now if I push right, You notice only does, I can't hold it down, which is not ideal. I don't want to have to move my ship by multiple clicks of the mouse. So that's why over here we don't use a tap event. We want to use a touch event. Now, touches have multiple phases. Alright, one of the phases that we want to listen for is the begin phase. So if we just put in an if statement there, when it begins, then it's going to do that. And put an end in there. As of yet, nothing's really going to change there. So we want to add another piece in here which says if someone releases the mouse, so just going over this code. That could be over there. Alright, just going over this code. So when they click down on the mouse and holding the mouse, that's the begin phase. It's going to send a message that says right button touched. When they release the mouse, it's going to send another message that says right button released. So over here in our ship, we need to be listening for the multiple phases. So when someone clicks on the mouse and holds it down, we want it, as long as they hold down the mouse, we want it to slowly move across the screen as long as this is held down. How we're going to achieve that is we're going to have a runtime listener, and we're going to put in a runtime listener. Direction equals 4. That's how far we're moving it over by. Up here we should define an initial value for that. Self.direction equals 4. Alright, and then we're going to insert a runtime listener. So this is now going to call a function called enter frame. What's going to happen on the enter frame? All it's going to do is you want to move the ship. You want to move the ship by 4 pixels every frame, so it'll just move over. So if I save that and run it, it keeps moving because I've done nothing there when I release it. So in here, I need to have something if I release the mouse. So else if what do I want to do if the mouse is released? Basically, all I need to do is remove this runtime listener. So when you click the mouse, it creates this runtime listener, which runs every frame, which will go up here and add 4 to it, because that's what we define self-direction as, 4 to it every frame. Here, when you release the mouse, which is going to be dispatched from here, that'll say, hey, he's released the mouse, stop that runtime listener, so it'll stop moving across the screen. So if I do that, click, release, click, release, click, release. Now I need to do the same for left. What's going to happen with left? Well, it's got to be basically the same. Alright, so I'll just do a bit of copying and pasting here. We're going to grab that. We're going to have another listener for our left arrow. Alright, that's going to call another function called left touch. Yep, we can just copy and paste this in. So we got another one, but this time it's called left touch. Alright, now if they click the begin phase, the touch event, we're still going to keep the same touch event, but the ID is going to be left button touched. And the ID down here will be left button released. Save that. It's good to go. Over in the ship, we need to start listening for those 2 events. So all we have to do is we can just copy and paste what's there. So we'll just copy and paste what's there. just realised I got a bit of redundant code here, but that's alright. Else, if ID equals left button touch direction, we're going to go -4 this time. Adds the event button, and we can go left button released. See if you can spot the redundant code there. I'm not going to change it now, but you can call me over if you get it. So, right button, release, left button, release, right button, left button. Cool. Nothing for fire button. In the controls, we're going to now add an event lister for the controls. So we want to add another event lister, this time on the My Circle. That's going to make a new function called Fire Touch. In this case, it really could be a tap, because we don't care if they're holding it down. We're not going to have auto fire. You could implement auto fire if you want, but it's up to you. So we're going to have a new function called Fire Touch, and what's going to happen inside that function? It's going to dispatch another event, which is going to be touch event button touched. Same as before, but this time it's going to call out to fire button touched. Now, who's going to care that someone's touched the fire button? Well, the ship will care, because it's the one that's going to be doing the firing. So in here, I'm going to add a new event ID. And this time it's going to be fire button touched. What am I going to do if someone touches the fire? Well, that'll be another video. But for now, I'm just going to print, wrong language, print fire, just to make sure that it is actually working. And we'll run that. Oh, probably because I got a capital F there. No, we've got a problem here. Let's have a look. What is? No, it is a. Let's look over here. No, it is a capital F. So that should be a capital F. And we'll save that. Load it again. I don't know. Decided to work for a change. Alright, so we've got our controls working.